Good. Oh, good way to start the story. Good morning, guys. Happy New Year, fam. Desire. Good to see you guys in the chat. It's weird. It's a Tuesday, January 3rd. Not a Monday. Hope you guys had a great holiday season, and we now got that out of the way. So hopefully going forward, we can have some pretty good market action, I'm hoping. But yeah, I mean, we don't really have many I guess holidays in the way now, so we should have pretty clear trading ahead. But yeah, let's just hop on into it. I mean, it's just I think that I'm going to start paying a little more attention to currencies right now at the moment, because I've been doing a lot of analysis, I guess, over this past holiday season, and I've noticed that right now currencies are really what's driving the market. Good moves in the currencies. So I'm still gonna hop through all the typical commodities. We'll cover the dollar, gold, indices, oil, but I'm gonna really top it off with some extra currency analysis. But let's hop into it. As far as news events today, we have OPEC today. They are talking about their potential production, whatever they decide to do, whether it's a production cut, production hike. Guess we'll see what they decide to do. But regardless, don't really have much today. I mean, you have OPEC today. Let me check my other economic calendar. S&P Global Manufacturing PMI at 945. So 945, you have something to keep an eye on there. But that's it. Yeah, that's it. So pretty clear skies. Let's take a look at the Dixie. We're going to start on the monthly chart because you know what? It's a new month. New month, new year, new you, new me. So let's see what the monthly chart has to offer for us. The Dixie, this is just looking really interesting. So last month closed pretty weak, right? Barely any upper wick, barely any lower wick. Looking at the current month, and we're what, 1 day in? It's already shooting up pretty heavily here, almost retracing the entire month of December. No bottom wick yet, just started going right up and catching a bid here. If we look at the overall move and we draw our Fibonacci's, we are now sitting at somewhere around the 38.2% retracement. So we are now at a valid high or low. Something to keep in mind as well is this area that we're now rejecting. This zone. Pretty big area of rejection as well back in 1989. Also looking back in 1999, here in 2002, back in 2016, 2017, 2020, and now this year as well. So we're in an area that has heavy, I guess, support at this point. So it's going to take a lot to really just get this thing to start pushing through this zone here. Hopping down to the weekly chart. Overall structure, I mean, we're in an active bear sequence here. I mean, if you look at this, if you look at this overall, I guess, most recent move with the trend here, we've broken through this trend line. We're heading down. But if you look at the overall move, actually, it's coming into an interesting point here because we're now coming into some soon a retest of this trend line here, which is also in this this really strong liquidity zone here. So again, look, it's gonna be a tough, because do remember though that the Dixie's relationship with everything has kind of been dislocated lately. Usually I use the Dixie for a bias on gold, oil, the indices, but it hasn't really played much I guess weight into those relationships lately. So not too concerned with what happens, but I am analyzing the Dixie because it's going to play some type of weight on the pairs, on the currencies, right? And so looking at it, I guess today, what do we expect? Very strong move so far, but we are sitting now still in this consolidation. The highs, we'll say, are sitting right around 104, 105 even. Low sitting at 103,450. So now we're back at the top end of this consolidation range. Sitting very overbought. I think the rest of the morning you start seeing the Dixie roll over here, running into this previous area of resistance now, showing some signs of exhaustion, or I guess the momentum slowing down here. And it seems like the Dixie wants to start rolling over. So I'll be looking for Dixie shorts up here. Yeah, I'll be looking for Dixie shorts against 104.9 area. So I'm gonna keep that in mind going forward into my analysis of the currencies. Taking a look at rates. Rates are interesting as well. You definitely want to keep an eye on rates here for the markets, because we had a nice pop down, or I guess pop up from these lows, the 350 area. It's really interesting because rates have been dislocated from the Dixie as well. Because if you notice the rates popping here from December 16th on, and you look at the Dixie on December 16th, it's just been completely flat. The rates nice popping here, but what I'm looking for now is does it catch a bid, and do we start getting the rates to pop a little more? If so, could cause some weakness in the equities and some weakness in gold. And so looking at the intraday chart here, we had a nice drop down into this 375 zone, previous area of support and resistance in 2022 so far. We're in this current bullish active sequence. We have these higher lows. Now came down, created another higher low, finding support at 375. So rates, as long as it maintains 370, or I guess it's 374, 375 area, it's catching a bid here. Should see some nice strength in that today. Looking at the equities. William, what's up, dude? Happy New Year. Good morning to you as well. Hope you had a great holiday season. Thankfully, that's over with now, so we can get back to the good trading market. Looking at the equities. The Dow. Still looking for overall shorts in this for a couple of reasons. If you take a look at this 34,500 area, you've noticed that this is where we peaked here. So we had this big area, just this big rejection wick in here. That's something definitely to keep an eye on, because it just shows that you have a lot of exhaustion, a lot of just rejection and liquidity grabs in this area here. And so any pops into this zone here, this 34,000 area, I'm going to look to sell, because it looks like we're creating now some type of just bearish channel here. And now that we're coming up to the upper end of this channel here, I'm going to look for sells in line with the potentially strong rates as well. This 33,400 strong area of resistance. If you look at this area, even back from 2021 here, this is going to be a very strong area to keep an eye on. That's where our lid is here. That's where the shelf was, excuse me, before this drop here back in December. And we're now coming up to retest that zone. So looking for sells in the equities. Look at the monthly chart, because we are in a new month. Monthly chart confirms my sells. We came up into this previous area of liquidity, and we had a nice rejection bearish close. And so now I'd expect us to start rolling back over and heading back down to the low 30,000s area. Weekly indecision, but seems like it's kind of blown off some steam before we start dumping even more. So intraday levels, intraday price action here. You can see we're still sitting in this channel that we've been sitting in. Highs at 33,446. Low sitting at 32,500. So for the Dow, looking for any shorts, I guess, into a pop of 33,000, let's say 360, something like this, and then look for sells, stop at the highs. And I think we can get a pretty decent move down today, maybe down to the low of Friday, around 32,860. So that'd be a nice, probably around a 3-to-1. So I'll be looking for shorts into equities pops here. Taking a look at gold monthly chart. Been on this nice tear here. Something to keep in mind is we're now entering a zone that we've had just some pretty big rejection. That's where he topped out back in the 2011 run. More or less where we topped out and had a lot of, I guess, hesitation and rejection here in 2020 and 2022. Good morning, Onyx. Good morning. Happy New Year. Hope you had good holidays. Now back to the grind. But overall, taking a look at the current monthly, we did break below this neckline we had here. And now we're coming up for a retracement. So looking at this overall move, we're entering an area that I would look for a lower high to be formed. Looking at the weekly chart, two areas of interest that I'm looking for with the weekly chart here. One point being kind of where we're at now, this 1830, 1832. A second point being this 1875. These are really like the last line, or I guess the last zones that I'd really want to see gold respects if we're going to see some continued selling in here. 1832 was the lid back from last summer. 1875 has been a pretty strong rejection point the last 2 years as well. Looking at the daily though, daily's kind of just been ranging and just chopping its way back up towards 1832, and now you're seeing it start to break through that level, showing some signs of exhaustion and rejection in this zone as well though. So we might have to hop to lower time frames to see if that's something that could potentially flip the daily candle bearish, or is this something that, okay, you know, we ran into resistance, we're pulling back, and we're then going to continue higher. So it's something we'll have to figure out. But do keep in mind, the daily candle has no lower wick, so we'd had straight bullish price action from the open of this new month. Looking at this hourly chart's looking pretty good for potential longs. One concern I do have with these plays, with this play here, is when you had this strong bullish momentum here, you had a very, very fat sell-off in London session. London session just shot this thing right down, and it was now then a lid. So is there enough buyers to fight to eat through that, is the question, especially on a, I guess it's Tuesday, but it's technically a Monday for traders. So is there enough volume for it to eat through those sellers? But regardless, I mean, this area looks good for buys. Technically speaking, we're holding this breakout of 1832. It's showing some signs of basing here. Sitting right around the 50% retracement. So I'd probably look for something similar to this, right? Because we've been sitting here creating these lower lows. And so I'd want to see it kind of flip the script and create a higher low base here. And then we'll start running through back towards highs and I'll look for buys. One thing to note for silver here, silver's been sitting in this channel since 2020, and the lid has been sitting right at this trend line, and we're now retesting that lid here on the daily. It's been where the rejection point has been. You're seeing that that's where it's putting up a fight. So silver, it's been on a tear here since, you know, September of 2022. It's been on its way up, but now question is, you know, do we do something like this, right? We have this rejection, lower high, and then continue back down. Is this something that we see again? So that's something I'm keeping in mind, is silver could have reached a potential top here on the higher time frames. Monthly charts even running into a lot of liquidity in here. There's been a lot of rejection wicks, and we're now running into that same zone. So definitely something to keep in mind as far as, you know, do we see that that drop? And I think we could at least see the drop into this neckline here of 22 even, right? And then maybe we could get going. But I think either way, silver shorts are in play. Kind of draw all over this zone here. Same area, same idea, a lot of rejection, and we're heading into that. So silver sells are interesting moving forward. Let's take a look at oil. Oil monthly chart. All right, let's just clear these lines. We're starting fresh. This is way too many lines. All right, let's start fresh. Oil monthly chart. Kind of pull over our pivot points here. Excuse me. Looking at the current situation that we're seeing, had a nice run through highs here, rejection, and now we're getting a pullback. The total move, we're now sitting at a 50% retracement of the move since we actually went negative back in 2020. So peak to trough, we're sitting at 50% retracement. Last month, showing signs of indecision and exhaustion to the downside. So we could start basing here to then heading back up towards highs. OPEC is out today, so remember OPEC's out there talking about whatever their potential production cut or hike is. So we'll see what they say. But regardless, this entire zone, man, this entire zone, I guess it's like a neutral point for oil. You see, it's just been I guess, no man's land, where really nobody's in control, but it's a strong pivot point. You're seeing that last month, or I guess the last 1, 2, 3, 4 months, where we found a lot of buying come into play here. So something to keep in mind. This is the 50% retracement and the neutrality point here for the bulls bears. So looking at the weekly chart, weekly chart looks decent for buys, because if you take a look, we had this 77 or I guess 78 area here, these lows. And if you kind of put it over, you could see that's clearly been a bottoming point back in 2011 here, a top in 2018, 2021. Right here in September of this year. And so now if you take a look at it, we had a nice push below, went negative for the year, and now we're back above that area. Last week found some nice dip buying come into play at 78. So I think we get some potential buys come into play as we saw the strong momentum to the upside, and we're now seeing some basing action and some, I guess, indecision and hesitation come into play. So we could get a nice squeeze back up if that's what it decides to do. Taking a look at the daily chart. I'm drawing out my areas of interest here. Definitely want to watch these highs around 81.50. It's been an area of interest here for oil. It's now the high of the current daily candle, sitting in this small range from last week. We are maintaining these higher lows here. Broke through this current trend line, now in this active bullish sequence. We're seeing a lot of just indecision in this entire zone that we've been sitting in for the last week or so. But overall, I like buys. As we're maintaining this bullish structure. Yeah, the ideal buys would have been like right around 7.15, right in here. But probably I'll look for something like this, and I'll look to buy on a retest of this zone here. Excuse me. 79.40 will be an area if we can get something that, if we can get a price to push away from it and get a retest of 79.40, I'll look for some longs to push towards highs around 81. Remember, we do have OPEC today. Could cause some volatility. All right, let's hop into Forex, the currencies, see what we got going on. We'll start with the good old pound yen. Take a look at the monthly chart. Kind of start fresh, remove all drawings. Looking at the monthly chart, I guess the main thing that sticks out to me is going to be this first area of this 149. This 149 500 area, where we're seeing, I guess, the most amount of rejection. And that's where you saw this monthly candle back in September of this year, I guess last year, 2022. You saw that that's where they came in to dip by that move. And we're now filling some of that wick here. You got to think to yourself, I guess, what is price action telling me? And if you look at this current area here, where then this monthly candle became dip bought in here, and then price ran away, and now we're pulling back a little bit to retest. So it seems like there's a lot of buying pressure in this zone. Current monthly has no upper wick, so it seems like it's going for one of these rejection and liquidity wicks before we start potentially flipping bullish and pushing back up towards highs. So I like longs overall on pound yen. Just looking at overall structure and looking at, I guess, the I guess the mentality and the structure behind this candlestick in here, the September of 2022, I guess, and the same similar reaction you see in this area here. Looking at the weekly chart, so this entire area that we already started dipping into is going to be an area I want to see pound yen become bought. Watching these highs here that we're now, I guess, meddling with right now. No upper wick on the daily. So let's see if this is an area that we can find some buying come into play, or where we saw this previous low right in here. Taking a look at the daily chart. Daily chart. Daily chart coming down into this area where we saw some dip buying as well. In this current bearish move here, but I think we start coming into an area where we find some dip buying. This current move started when the Bank of Japan changed their monetary policy, and we started seeing this nice sell-off from that announcement. But now we're coming into an area where we see a lot of, I guess, buyers come into play. So if those same buyers come into play and step in the market, then we're going to see a nice basing action and rally in pound yen. I'll take a look at your short in 1 second, Desire. So for pound yen, I like longs. I like the fact that buyers came in and retraced this entire move, and so now we have some potential buying come into play, and we have sellers, I guess, getting exhausted here. So we'll see I'd like to see some type of retracement towards like 156, 200. You know, maybe base with a higher low and then rally on out of here. I'm not going to blindly buy on this one because we're extremely bearish right now. A lot of bearish pressure. But I do think we start finding some support in this 155 area that we're seeing us bottom at. So I'd like to see some longs in here with a higher low being formed. So we'll keep an eye on it. I just want to kind of watch it and monitor it and see if we can, I guess, get a better idea as price develops. Pound USD. Wow. All right, let's take a look at the monthly chart. Makes sense because, I mean, the dollar had a nice rally, a really strong rally overnight. And so looking at the monthly chart, last month came in with a just nasty, nasty rejection and exhaustion wick. But we are sitting at this area where we've seen some dip buying, I guess, in 2016, 2017, 2019, 2020. Strong area of support here that we're holding. A weekly chart. Same thing. We're sitting at this area of support. Something to note is we did break through these highs here. So now what I want to see is, can we create some type of higher low retracement? Seems like pound USD could be in a nice active bearish sequence here. Just broke through, selling off with that strong Dixie that we had overnight. So yes, I mean, sells. Sells at 1.200 look ideal to me. Something similar to this. My only concern is, I mean, if you look at the Dixie, my only concern is if you look at the Dixie, I talked about it earlier. We're sitting this current consolidation that we're now reaching the upper end of it. So we should start seeing a sell-off back down to the bottom end of the range here with the Dixie. So if we see that weak Dixie, pound USD shorts won't work out that well. And we could potentially retrace this entire move back up. Definitely keeping an eye on pound USD. This is 1.2 price point, because if we can find some resistance and base, or I guess like settle there, then I'll look for shorts. However, definitely keeping in mind that we could retrace this entire move if the Dixie becomes weak. If that's the case and we retrace this move, I'll look for longs off of a 1.2 for a continuation back up with that weak Dixie. So keeping both scenarios in mind here. But first things first, I do like the sells at 1.2. So we'll see as price gets closer to that area. This is an area that we've seen some pretty strong dip buying and rejection come into play. Back in December. It's where you saw it break these lows, find some support here, and bringing that over. That's where we bottomed out at here. So definitely an area that's not too it hasn't proven anything to me yet, is the thing. If you look at the daily, yes, is now breaking through this trend line, but it's the first candle. It could just be a simple retest, grab liquidity, and then run back up. So it has to prove itself to me first. So if I do take sells at this 1.2, it's going to be a short play, maybe even but just back down to like 1.94, like right around here. Because again, it's nothing that I want to hold on to until it proves that it has closed below and this is a continued short. Pound AUD. Let's see what it's got for us. Monthly chart. Brr. The last 3 months showing some signs of buyers exhaustion, sellers coming into play and knocking it back down. Last month broke through those highs and closed extremely weak, and we're currently seeing a little bit of a wick retracement starting this month out on the pound AUD. So looking for potential sells as we start pushing into this rejection area. Same idea on the weekly, except more precision here. The rejection area is going to be right around 1.81750. So you could potentially see some buys come into play until we get a retest. What I'd like to see is maybe a retest of around 1.8 even, and then create a lower high, and then we start selling off from there back down towards these lows. But looking at the current day's price action, I think buys are in play for pound AUD. Broke through this current trend line here. So what I'd like to see is a retracement, or get some type of retest. Maybe you run a little farther, create a higher low, retest like 178, and then rally towards 1,800. So something like this, and I'll look to buy on that next pullback. Add my alerts. Euro JPY. Seeing current bearish momentum come into play. No upper wick on this monthly so far. It's never really good to see the monthly start out with no liquidity wick, because it's right now, like the first couple days of the month is going to be price discovery, grabbing some liquidity, kind of figuring out where it wants to go for the month, and then you see that continuation. So, but looking at the current month, regardless, this is an area we're heading into, which is a strong point of contention for Euro JPY. This 137 even, getting close to it. Again, this is a strong area of rejection on the weekly chart as well. Even where we're sitting at right now, if I kind of push over this this peak in 2018, where we saw a lot of bearish momentum from, it's where we saw this dip line come into play in September. So area I consider looking for longs we're sitting at right now. But it needs to start basing here, because it has had a lot of selling pressure come into play here. But it's very similar to anything with the yen is going to look very similar, right? Because you had the Bank of Japan changed their monetary policy in December, caused a lot of bearish pressure. But everything seems with the yen, most things with the yen, everything seems to be coming into an area of interest where, you know, maybe we see buyers come in. Buyers came in before, so do the same buyers come into play and hold up the price? So definitely keeping an eye on this area for potential longs on Euro JPY. If we can see the same buyers that came in September, that came in July, you know, I want to see if the same buyers come into play and prop up this price here for Euro JPY. Very similar with pound yen. You've seen this very strong bearish meltdown. So I'd like to see, again, a higher low formed right around 137.8. And then we get a rally from there back towards 138 somewhere, 138, 139. So set our alerts. But today, I'm not going to force anything today. It's really the first day of trading in the new year. It's not going to be crazy good. Seems like there's a lot of price discovery and a lot of setting up heading into the new year. So not going to force anything, but definitely will keep an eye on how price is setting up in the areas that I'm watching. AUD USD. We're going to just go down the list here. All right, taking a look at AUD USD. Look at the monthly chart. The Australian dollar. Let's remove all drawings. First thing to keep an eye on here is, you know, where are the big wicks? Where are the big volume areas? The big price points that volume comes into play, and definitely seeing an area here at like 0.62500, where you see a lot of rejection wicks, a lot of dip buying come into play here. Not even close to it yet. Still have plenty of time to go. So as far as where we're sitting with current price action, it's nothing too significant. The more there's a more significant price point. It's going to be right around this zone here. This level. So potential continued sell-off in AUD USD here. Last month was a candle of indecision as we came in to retest this breakdown here. Looking at the weekly chart. Weekly chart still maintaining these lower highs. Hasn't really broken any structure yet, so still in a bearish sequence. We saw that this breakdown here just came up to retest retest that neckline. So we're seeing this rejection on the upper end of 68 even. But we are sitting in this consolidation phase the last couple weeks here. I guess the last few weeks, maybe the last month and a half. Looking at the daily chart. Daily chart, so we're running into the 200 moving average. Going to be a strong area that we find as support. It's been a nice trailer here, as you can see, since the summer. Currently seeing this nice double top rejection with the lower high formed. And we're seeing this nice bearish sell-off. So I think this could be an area that we look for some pretty strong sells come into play. So on any type of 4-hour retracement and retest of this drop here, I look for sells for a continuation down. So looking at the lower time frames. If I can get a push up into, let's say 67,600. it would be ideal for sells, and we'll see if we can base here. We'll look for set our stop loss. We'll look for a run back down into like 66,400 area. That seems like it would be a good area. Similar place where we've seen a lot of just rejection in this current consolidation phase that we're sitting in. So add our alert. New Zealand USD. Let's take a look at the monthly chart. Last month, a candle of indecision here, retesting again. This breakdown. A lot of lines here that we got to get rid of. All right, looking at the weekly chart. Again, a weekly chart came in an area of contention here. Buyers getting exhausted. Now we're seeing the sellers come into play. I think we have a lot of potential strong sell-off. Very clean traffic looking left here. Daily chart confirms. Seeing this lower high sell off here. So on any wick retracement, wick retest, then I'll look for a sell off. And I think we can get a pretty strong sell off moving forward with New Zealand USD potentially. It's setting up really nicely for it. Good morning, Nick. Good to see you in the chat. Looks very similar to AUD USD as far as the setup. If I can get a retest of, let's say, right around 63 even, is where I'll look to grab some sells, stop above these highs, look for a pretty decent run down. So we'll see what it gives us. I'm going to add my alert. See what it gives us. Euro USD. I don't really trade this one. Not really sure I want to analyze it because I hate trading this one. It's just so manipulated. I hate this pair. Just very choppy. This range has been just nasty. Like, look at this nasty range. Big sell-off because we had a strong US dollar. Probably get a nice pop in it today. But I don't really feel like messing with it, to be honest. This pair always just does dirty moves. Yeah, not really interested in this pair myself. USD CAD. Remove draw longs. Take a look at the monthly chart. It's going to be heavily influenced, obviously, in oil because of the Canadian dollar. This zone here, pretty heavy area of contention dating back to 95, actually even 90 or 85 even. So this could be a strong area. Haven't reached it yet, but it's been that nice double top in 2016, 2020. Potential longs in USD CAD here. Then a retest this breakup right? Creating these higher lows. And so if the USD CAD can maintain its position here and close bullish engulfing, then I like it to break these highs and head back up towards this rejection area. Definitely something to keep in mind, though, is this current area of resistance sitting just up ahead. And we are sitting in this current consolidation phase here. So no trade in USD CAD for me yet. Not the ideal setup. Kind of wait on that one. I also took long SPX 500 after retest Thursday high 38.60. You went long SPX at 30. Okay. Yeah. It's fine. I mean, not a huge fan myself for that move, but here, let me explain what I'm looking at least. So the overall, I guess, trend here on the weekly is obviously bearish, right? Clearly. And we've had, if you look at these highs, we had this nice break through all these highs. Liquidity grab here, closed massive bearish engulfing below this 39.20 area. And then we've just been seeing some nice consolidation right below that zone. Looking at the daily, again, same story, more detail. Broke the highs, grabbed liquidity, went bearish, and now we had a retest of this 39.28. Neckline here, going to be a strong area of resistance. So if you look at the overall trend lately, you saw this current bullish sequence, right? That we had just broken below. And then we're finding some consolidation and resistance here. To then potentially head lower. Look at the 4 hour. This range, not an ideal range to trade. You have highs at 39.20, lows at 3800 area. Kind of been very choppy in this range. I mean, ever since the SPX broke through this 39.23 area right here and started finding resistance, kind of told me that I'm not really looking for buys anymore because we are now in a potential bearish sequence. We broke these lows. We're now in a bearish move. And so if I draw my Fibonacci's to see where a potential valid lower high would come into play, so surprise, surprise, 39.29, 39.30, this area that we've been topping out here. Going to be that valid lower high. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a day trade today, you might get it. Not a huge fan because what we're seeing here now. What we're seeing is we gapped up, right? Had a nice push down, broke through that high, grabbed liquidity, and now we push down. So what I think we might see is that area potentially being a lid, this 3900 area being a lid here as we grab liquidity. And so maybe we push up to 38.93 and then start selling off. So not a huge fan. Do keep in mind, 945. We have S&P Global. We have S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. So I mean, overall trend right now is bearish. So not a huge fan of those longs. We literally broke structure here, and we're now in bearish territory. So longs are not justified at all. Yeah, I don't know. Took the Nasdaq long once ES tapped 30.46 last night, minus 20%, all-time high. Nasdaq long. Let me remove some of this bullshit in here. I mean, Nasdaq longs are a lot more ideal than the ES longs. Nasdaq's actually not in a bad area. So the thing is, like, the way it works is, although we may get Nasdaq longs here, right, just to kind of push up, maybe retest this neckline, maybe retest this trend line. It doesn't mean that all the other indices will go up. It just means that maybe we get that, one becomes stronger than the others, and then we continue that sell-off. So I don't think we get a huge rip in NASDAQ. I think maybe you get if you do get a continuation to the upside, I think it's kind of topped at this 11.5 area. You've seen a lot of exhaustion, a lot of rejection there. This is an area we've seen a lot of rejection, so I wouldn't expect it to have much more upside potential other than 11.5. But honestly, it's a lot easier with less resistance to short on pops than to try to long and catch a small move. Mark, keep in mind, the Dixie is just completely irrelevant lately. The Dixie has been completely dislocated from its relationships lately, from the equities, from commodities. The Dixie's kind of just doing its own thing. I mean, if you look at the Dixie, right, the last month of price action has been completely flat. If you look at the, hang on, let me get back. If you look at the oil, it's just been completely on an up tear, right? If you look at gold, been moving up. If you look at the equities here, Nasdaq's been selling off pretty heavily, right? If you look at the ES been, just been in somewhat of a sell-off here. Meanwhile, the Dixie's been going absolutely nowhere. What you've been seeing here is the rates. The rates have been on a nice tear here almost the last month. The ES, the Nasdaq, been selling off. So I think you're looking at the wrong thing. You're looking at the Dixie when the Dixie hasn't really been going anywhere, but the rates have been tearing, right? And so if you look at the rates, I think the reason that the equities are somewhat of a potential buy right now, I guess, in your Nasdaq, if you're looking for longs in the equities, Nasdaq's probably the most ideal right now, is because you're seeing rates now in an active bearish sequence here, broke through this trend line, seeing this nice sell-off overnight, right? And I think that's why you're seeing a potential strength in the equities, because it's weird, right? You see look at this dollar, right? Look at this dollar. Dollar's been absolutely tearing. You shouldn't see the strength in the equities if that's the case, right? So kind of a dislocated relationship there. So if you're going to look for relationships right now, you're really going to want to look at rates, not really the Dixie. There'll be a time where Dixie comes back into play, but I'm replacing the Dixie with the rates as of right now because that's what's been more relevant in the relationship trade. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. But overall, I do like your Nasdaq longs. I think they could play out potentially. I guess if you're looking for longs and equities, Nasdaq has the most potential. The ES doesn't really. I mean, the ES, Nasdaq's down here compared to the ES, right? So you have a lot better risk reward on the Nasdaq. And if you're going to see a weak extreme weakness in rates, then I would definitely be playing, the Nasdaq. But do keep in mind that the rates are sitting at 374, which has been an area we've seen some support found before. So if we're seeing the support found here, we start seeing rates rip here, right? It's going to put some weight on the equities. So just keep an eye on, as we get closer to the open, how the rates react to this 374 and what the Nasdaq's doing. But let's see. Let's kind of filter back through the markets here and see what's going on. Gold 4-hour finding some exhaustion and support at this 1832 support, or I guess gold. But yeah, anyways, I don't think we get much movement, to be honest, in gold today. It just seems like it's going to be more of a muted day. Kind of seems like overall, the markets will have a muted day today. It's the first day of the year. Those people are still hungover from their holiday season. And they'll slumber back onto the markets. So it usually takes about a week or two, probably about 2 weeks in January to get volume flowing back in. Kind of seeing, but what I'd like to see on gold is I'd like to see it kind of break away here, retest, find some support at 1836, and then rally back towards highs. I'm not really comfortable buying here. I don't really like buying on a push. Not really feeling like we're going to get many trades pop today. Oil, taking a look at oil. Oil's settling at this 79.30 trend line back from the last couple days. We're also sitting in this current consolidation phase. Current consolidation, 50% area is right at support. We're sitting now, the 78.95, 79 area. So going to be an area to keep an eye on as well. That 50% mark of consolidation patterns are typically going to be pretty strong support and resistance zones. So that's going to be right here. So potential long idea around a 3-to-1, something like that. Pound USD pushing a little, kind of flipping through. A lot of pairs still have a lot of setting up to do. I guess most of the pairs still have a lot of setting up to do. So maybe we get some nice action later this week, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, but today seems kind of muted. Yeah, that's a good point, Mark. June low is 11,068, which is where you're seeing that dip buying come into play. Also where VWAP is, so actually not a bad area to buy off of if you're looking for like a kind of like a dip buy into like a push this morning. Hourly showing a lot of support there, a lot of exhaustion. Running into this 50% retracement of the overnight session. I actually don't hate NASDAQ longs here. No, I'm not sitting in any trades right now. Nothing too exciting for me. Considering gold longs, not yet though. Considering NASDAQ longs, but haven't executed anything yet. And I was looking at this oil long idea. I'm not in this. I just kind of drew this out as an idea. Oil long ideas seem interesting as well. So kind of watching that. A couple things that I might enter, but I don't know if I really want to enter any trades today. Just because it's not an ideal day to trade. It's January 3rd, first day back from the holidays, and there's not going to be much volume probably. So kind of just chilling, watching the markets getting back in the swing of things. Desire, are you in anything right now? Famila. Did you guys take any trades? You can't really you can't really look at Dixie right now. Or right? I mean, what you really got to be looking at is the rates. The rates are pushing down pretty heavily here. So that's why you're seeing the Nasdaq up. Dixie has been kind of dislocated with this as like a relationship trade lately. So I haven't really been looking at the Dixie for trade ideas. I've been watching the rates as a relationship play. Seeing that heavy weakness overnight in the rates, so you're seeing the equities have some strength in them. Took 20 pips profit on gold long. Nice good stuff, dude. Stuff. But yeah, pretty chill out there. Like that TLT level last Friday. Good swords next week. And NQ was at these levels in October. The Dixie was at 113. Yeah, exactly. Dude, the Dixie was like way up here. You're right, 113. Dixie's had a nice spill, and Nasdaq kind of just, exactly where it's at. So, kind of proves my point. Wasn't gold long. Was in gold long. When'd you get in gold long? Slash, I don't. Oil's starting to push nice. Oil probably push nice. Fill this range here. Makes Nasdaq a more compelling long though. Seeing the Forex headwinds loosen up. Dixie seems like it wants to roll over this morning. So the rates are like basing here. With the Dixie potentially rolling over, definitely got to be cautious on the pound USD shorts, or I guess any shorts against the USD. because pound USD, if the dollar's rolling over, this should start filling this move and pushing up. So I'm not going to be taking any trades today. I'm just going to be watching today, kind of getting back into the swing of things. Now that the holidays are over, volumes will start coming in the markets next week or two. So I'm not going to dive on headfirst into it. First couple of days of the month are usually price discovery anyway, and liquidity grabs and stuff. So if I take trades the first couple of days of the month, it's going to be quick and easy. Euro USD cannot buy if market break next resistance on. I don't know. Can you? You tell me. Are you allowed to trade Euro USD? Will your mom let you? Can I buy if market break next resistance in 5 minutes? Sure, why not? Why not? Go for it. Got to be careful though, because you got a lot of resistance at 1.05700. This line right in here, a lot of resistance there. But something to keep an eye on here is on the hourly. I'd expect like one more bearish candle before it then goes, or at least one more retest of this area of like 1.05400 and then go. I'd like to see something like that. But again, I said it earlier, I don't trade Euro USD. I hate that pair with a passion. It's my least favorite pair on the market. So, yeah. But today, going to be probably very, as we're seeing it, very chill day in the markets. Everybody, give a round of applause to the Filipina trader because she passed her challenge today. Everybody, round of applause to the Filipina trader. Good job, fam. Passed her challenge today on gold longs. Proud mentor moment. Good stuff. But yeah, going to be a pretty chill day, obviously. So I'm not taking any trades. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, throw them in the chat now, because otherwise, probably just hop off and not trade today. Hop off the charts, go do something productive. Give you a minute or two. If there's no questions, I'll probably hop off.
That sounds good. That's funny. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, let me shut this down here.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna hop off now, guys. It's been a pleasure being back with you guys. New year, new month. Should be good. Have a good rest of your trading day, guys. I will be back on tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. sharp. See you guys.